Blood and death have a scent you never forget. Two friends stood frozen at Travis Alexander's doorway that warm June evening, their worst fears becoming reality with each step toward his bathroom. Days of unanswered calls had led to this moment. What they discovered upstairs would shatter their world forever. Travis's body, brutally attacked, lying lifeless in the shower. Water mixed with blood had dried in rusty patterns across the tile. This wasn't just a murder. This was the beginning of one of America's most infamous crime stories. Travis Alexander seemed to have it all: young, drive, a promising career in sales, and unwavering faith. His infectious smile and humor drew people in, but behind closed doors, he was entangled in a relationship, spiraling dangerously out of control with a woman named Jodi Arias. Their first meeting at a 2006 marketing conference felt like destiny. She radiated charm. He exuded charisma. On the surface, they were perfect together, two magnetic personalities drawn to each other by chance. But those closest to Travis noticed troubling signs almost immediately. She just shows up without warning, Travis confided to close friends. Meanwhile, Jodi justified her increasingly controlling behavior as fear of losing him. Their relationship was a powder keg, explosive passion mixed with mounting tension and jealousy that would eventually reach a breaking point. By early 2008, Travis wanted out. He craved freedom from the drama, a fresh start. Jodi refused to accept it was over. In the weeks before his death, Travis confessed to friends he felt threatened. His final journal entries read like a horror prophecy. "I feel like someone is watching me." Days later, those fears would prove tragically accurate. On June 9th, 2008, Travis's worried friends made the devastating discovery. Following the foul odor to the upstairs bathroom, they encountered a nightmare that would haunt them forever. Police arriving at the scene found shocking evidence: bloody palm prints, a camera suspiciously tossed in the washing machine, and a timeline pointing directly to one person, Jodi Arias. What happened next defied all explanation. The camera revealed secrets that would stun investigators. Recovered deleted photos showed Travis smiling in the shower just moments before his death. The timestamps told a chilling story. Travis smiling at 5:22 p.m. and by 5:30 p.m., his life had been violently taken, then accidentally captured. A foot beside a bleeding body. Undeniable proof Jodi was there when Travis died, destroying her initial claims of innocence. Jodi's story unraveled like a poorly written script. First, I wasn't even in Arizona. Then, masked intruders attacked him. Finally, backed into a corner by mounting evidence. I killed him, but in self-defense. He was abusive. I had no choice. But which version was the lie? According to investigators, all of them. Each explanation more desperate than the last. What pushes someone from obsessive love to calculated murder? The answer lies in the twisted psychology that investigators were only beginning to uncover. Those who knew Travis painted a drastically different picture. A generous man, kind-hearted, only ever defensive against Jodi's relentless pursuit. Was she truly a victim of abuse? Or a calculated killer who couldn't bear rejection? The truth would play out in one of the most sensational trials in American history. When the trial began in 2013, America was captivated. Every major network broadcast the proceedings. Viewers sat transfixed by graphic testimony, explicit photographs, and Jodi's bewildering 18 days on the stand. Each day brought new revelations, shocking details, and emotional testimony that kept the public hanging on every word. The courtroom became a battlefield of competing narratives. Jodi locked eyes with jurors, weaving tales of fear and abuse. Prosecutor Juan Martinez fired back with ruthless precision. Why didn't you report this alleged abuse? Why hide evidence? Why change your story 3 times? Under his questioning, Jodi's composure cracked, alternating between confident assertions and defensive deflections. But here's what the cameras didn't show: the private agony of Travis's family, sitting just feet away from his killer day after day, their pain visible to millions watching around the world. The defense desperately tried to portray Travis as secretly abusive, pointing to heated text messages and arguments. But one by one, Travis's loved ones took the stand, voices breaking as they described a gentle man desperate to escape Jodi's suffocating grasp. The jury was left to decide which version of Travis Alexander was real. After months of emotional testimony, the verdict: guilty of first-degree murder. The sentencing phase dragged on painfully. Though prosecutors pushed for the death penalty, a deadlocked jury ultimately led to a life sentence without parole. For Travis's family, it brought a measure of closure to their nightmare, though their pain endures. The case refused to fade from public consciousness, inspiring documentaries and endless online debates. How could something that began as romance end in such horror? Looking deeper into Jodi's psychology reveals a woman consumed by insecurity, constantly seeking validation. She craved connection, yet felt perpetually overshadowed by Travis's popularity and success. Interrogation videos expose Jodi's disturbing ability to shift personas, flirtatious one moment, tearful the next, then eerily calm. As detectives revealed the evidence against her, Jodi did the unthinkable. She smiled, posing for the camera as if at a photo shoot rather than an interrogation for murder. Even as evidence mounted, she remained convinced she could charm her way to freedom. The same hands that once caressed Travis in passion had methodically stabbed him 27 times in rage. Prosecutors methodically laid out evidence of premeditation: the rental car, her dyed hair, disabled phone, borrowed gas cans to avoid leaving a paper trail at pumps. The message was clear. This was no impulse killing, but a carefully planned execution, carried out with chilling precision. The defense tried desperately to humanize Jodi with childhood photos and character witnesses. They highlighted her religious conversion after meeting Travis, but nothing could overshadow the brutality. Travis stabbed 27 times, throat slit, shot in the head. No self-defense scenario could explain such savagery. During sentencing, the courtroom crackled with raw emotion. Travis's family clutched tissues, faces etched with grief and fury. Jodi's relatives sat mostly silent behind her. Her final contradictions played out, as she claimed to prefer death over imprisonment, yet when addressing the jury, begged for mercy. Years later, Jodi maintains her innocence from behind prison walls at Perryville. She's given interviews, attempting to rewrite history, but the mountain of evidence, forensics, testimonies, and her own ever-changing stories stands unmoved by her continued denials. The public remains divided on her sentencing. Some believe she deserved the death penalty for the particularly brutal nature of the crime. Others contend that life imprisonment is sufficient punishment, forcing her to confront the consequences of her actions every day for the rest of her life. For those who loved Travis Alexander, the loss is immeasurable. They remember his laughter, his optimism, his dreams cut tragically short. They believe he was trapped in a relationship he couldn't escape, haunted by Jodi's presence even after he tried to move on. By the time he recognized the true danger, it was already too late. In the years since the trial, courtroom footage continues to circulate. Jodi's wide eyes, her carefully styled hair, her insistence on her version of events. But the prosecutor's words echo with each contradiction. The jurors' faces show the psychological burden of determining someone's fate. And at the center of it all remains the horrifying truth. A young man's life ended in a moment of savage violence. This isn't just another crime story. It's a warning about the fine line between passion and obsession, about missed red flags and the fatal consequences of toxic love. It reminds us that beneath the surface of seemingly normal relationships, deadly currents can flow undetected until they suddenly erupt in violence. The case of Travis Alexander and Jodi Arias serves as a cautionary tale about blind passion that ignores warning signs until tragedy strikes. It underscores how relationships that appear normal on the surface can hide dangerous obsession. And it demonstrates how a single lethal encounter can destroy countless lives in its wake. When Travis's friends climbed those stairs that June evening, they couldn't have known they were stepping into a national obsession. As investigators peeled back the layers of his life and death, they exposed the darkest corners of human emotion, jealousy, rage, and the terrifying depths of rejection. One phone call never answered, one relationship that wouldn't end, one moment of unimaginable violence, and a life full of promise vanished forever.